From our headquarters here in Lagos, Nigeria. We'll get into the conversation very quickly as we have guests lined up from the Maryland area here in Lagos, in Ijebu-Ode as well, Ogun State, in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, as well as in Kaduna and Adamawa State. But that's just in a moment. But basically our focus tonight is on Nigeria at 61. The country marked her 61st independence anniversary on Friday, 1st October, and of course what a journey it has been this past 61 years. I understand that we do have some guests already standing by. So tonight on the program, of course, let's begin with Mazi Sam Ohabunwa, who is the convener of the New Nigeria Group, Nigerian politician and business executive. He is also the president of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, live from the Maryland area here in Lagos. Mazi Sam Ohabunwa joins us live on the program. Good to see you, Mazi. It's always a delight to chat with you. Let's begin the conversation with you while we try to see how we can get others on board. Yes, I wonder what your perception of the country is as a nation in 61 years.
Well, I would say that we're a country that is like a work in progress. Nigeria is a work in progress. The painful part is that the progress is lackluster. We are not actually making the kind of progress that is desired. But if you look at Nigeria at 61, it is like a retarded child, a child that ought to have reached a particular height, a particular weight at this age, but we are not where we ought to be. We are performing below capacity. We are growing below capacity and potential. So that's why I call us a work in progress. That there is hope. We can get much better, but the truth is that we are not doing well enough.
But to take away from your opening thoughts, Mazi Sam Ohabunwa, I understand that Chief Ayo Adebanjo is also supposed to join us live from the Ijebu-Ode area of Ogun State, elder statesman and chieftain of the socio-cultural group Afenifere, Ayo Adebanjo, live as well from Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, a retired commissioner of police, Aziz Bashiru, who served as Commissioner of Police in 6 states, is also joining us live on the program. And of course live from Kaduna State as well, we have a senior advocate of Nigeria also on standby as well. Utaz Yunus joins us live on the program as well from Kaduna State. And in Adamawa State as well, Dr. Usman Ibrahim Wakali also joins us live on the program, Nigerian politician as well as businessman. I hope that Ayo Adebanjo has joined us live now from the Ijebu-Ode area of Ogun State. Chief, good to see you. It's always interesting to view Nigeria from the eyes of your lens. But let me ask you this question very quickly, and perhaps you would help us paint a picture, Chief Ayo Adebanjo, of the Nigeria you met in your prime and what the nation is today. All right, so perhaps Chief is here to join us, or we've lost connection with him. Mazi, since you're with us, let me direct that question to you about the Nigeria you met as a young man in your prime and probably what the nation is today. What has changed these past years?
Well, this was why I made my opening remarks, because the expectation is that our country should get better and better and not either be stagnant or deteriorate. As a young man, I came into a country that was full of hope and expectation. I came into a country that was seen as the pride of Africa and the black man. A country that has the potential to become a true representation of what Africa and the black man can provide. A country that will be able to compete with the rest. I met a country where we went to school. There are not as many schools as there are today, but we got education. I went to a country, I came into a country, I grew up in a country where there are not as many hospitals and health centers as we have today, but everybody got a fair share of fair treatment each time he was sick. Our ability to access medicine had nothing to do with our financial position or with anything else, except that the country, the nation provided. I grew up in a nation where there was love amongst the citizens of the country, where you could travel from one part of the nation to the other without fear of any harm or even major discrimination. I came to a country that was fairly united and where opportunities existed all over the country, where the East competed with the South, the West competed with the Northwest, where we Midwest, and there was progress on all rounds. We are growing faster than most of our competitors then. Most countries were coming to Nigeria to learn so many things: agriculture, governance. We set up radio stations and television stations before many other nations, including those who have become advanced nations today. That was the nation that we grew up, and which I am saying that if we cannot make it better, we should at least take it back to that level. That's my position. If we can't make Nigeria a 21st century nation, then let us at least provide the kind of facilities we had: full, fairly high level of employment, high level of development, high level of macroeconomic stability. Our naira had value, or even our pound, or whatever we had at that time had value, and we could purchase what we wanted. That is what the country that I grew, not a country at war with itself, not a country that eats up its people, not a country that wastes its youth. That is the country we are now, and I think it's not good enough. We need to return to that country where we all operated as equal citizens fairly, competed fairly, and lived at peace.
Just a moment ago, I saw Chief Ayo Adebanjo, elder statesman and chieftain of the Afenifere Socio-Cultural Group. Chief, thank you so much for joining us on the program tonight. Perhaps I should also direct this question to you, Chief Ayo Adebanjo. Help us paint a picture or describe the Nigeria you met and what the nation is today. I wonder what exactly has changed, Chief Ayo Adebanjo, from the Nigeria you met as a young man, as a man in your prime, a man in your youth, and what the country is today, 61 years after. Well, perhaps, Chief Ayo Adebanjo, I should go over my question again, live for us from Ijebu-Ode area in Ogun State. Chief Ayo Adebanjo. The question, elder statesman, is that what exactly has changed, Chief, from the Nigeria you met many years ago as a young man, as a man in your prime, and what the country is today? What exactly has changed for you, Chief?
That's really a very big question. There's a lot that has changed. There's a lot that has become normal that was very abnormal in those days. Where do you want me to begin? From the question of education, the question of transportation, from the question of security, when I can travel from Lagos to Ilorin at 12 a.m. in Lagos and arrive in Ilorin at 12 a.m. without any security. Those are the days that I went when I was an organizing secretary. That is far, far, far away. If you compare the independence before now, when first of all had independence in the 50s, freedom of movement, free education, the health circumstances are clear. There's a lot. And there was competition among the politicians without violence. There's a lot, particularly under this Buhari regime, it has been completely an awkward thing. That's why I say, a person like myself, when you say you have been 61st anniversary, it's a sad story for me, because it is not the Nigeria I fought for, I campaigned for, I demonstrated for, that is happening now. You can imagine it from what you know, let me take you from what you know to what you don't know. Take it is just the question of Jonathan period and Buhari period, or from the 1999 thus far. One thing probably many people have not been taking notice of. from 1999, when we are complaining about the Constitution, nobody was talking about secession. We are only saying we want to change the Constitution, we want sovereign national conference, we want this. It is all that worry now, everybody is talking of secession, self-determination. And I would have thought that the president who loves the country, who is patriotic, who is sincere about keeping the country together, should have asked those who want to secede, or whatever name you call them. Why? Now, why under my administration? And many of the people are talking about, no, we don't want secession. We don't want you to secede. They don't ask the question. Those who want to secede, why? What is their complaint? The complaint was not there before him. Why now? See, to me, many of us, both those who are talking about the love Nigeria, we live in denial. The press, the politicians, and everybody trying to plead the government of the day. Those who love this country, those who believe, they believe Buhari, I agree. I believe in him before, I campaigned for him. They have not asked the question, why now? It is this same country we are believing. We are talking of ass men. You have heard them from our youth. They carry sticks. They don't carry AK-47. And when we say that they are carrying AK-47, the head of state, the man is charge of security, he didn't put the question, why? So when you talk about what you have grown up all this now, to a person like me, who knew the beginning, it's a very sad story.
Well, Chief, it's indeed very, very sad. Let me also ask you this just before we take a breather, Chief. Is there something fundamentally wrong with Nigeria?
No, nothing fundamentally wrong that we have been unlucky to have wrong, bad leadership. Some leadership doesn't want to listen to the people. Some leadership want to listen. If people are complaining, some people who have no democratic instinct, who are dictatorial, who have a plan against the wishes of the people. That is what is wrong. If they are all of the same mind, we want to live together, and one is saying, I want to get away. It takes two to dance tango. The man who don't want any break, will say, well, why do you want to do? Are we not doing fine? What have I done for you? If you have a friend who has been living with you, you have been chatting, you have been doing all that, and now begins to be antagonistic. You ask why? And if you love each other, you go into the question of why. That is the problem with our Buhari. Anytime we say, well, I'm going to deal with secession, I'm going to, you never ask the question, why are these people saying they want to secede? And even when people like me say, no, we don't want to secede, we only want to change this constitution which the military impose on us. And many of you journalists and critics, you don't go into the whys and the wherefore. You only say, oh, Igbo is bad. Igbo is bad. Why? Why did Igbo arise? What is his complaint? What is the complaint of the Nnamdi? If we love ourselves, we have been living together, and there are some disagreements, you should ask yourself why, if you are sincere. But what is happening is that I have been saying it, the critics don't want to listen to me. The problem now, particularly now in Nigeria with Buhari, Buhari has a program of his own that does not tally with the wishes of the majority of the country. It's a pity that we often refer to Fulani, which from where it comes from. Not all the Fulani are with him, I know that. But being the man in charge, being the man at the end of affairs, he carried the brunt. And unfortunately, these Fulani people don't agree with you, they don't talk out. They are very small, and they keep quiet. And you know what people say that a man who is quiet on any dispute, you don't know which side you believe. Agbẹnimá for àmọ̀tẹ́ tó ń ṣe. A man who is quiet on an issue, we don't know which side he is. That's the problem with the Fulani who are saying, don't generalize. We are not all bad. Yes. If you are not all bad, those of you are not bad, you to speak out. While concentrating on the security position among the Fulani, among the Northerners, and the South is complaining. Why don't you talk to him about this? Why these people are complaining? It's unfair. You just say, oh, you hate us. You want to go over. My dear, if you are sincere with yourself, up till now, right now, the southern governors say we want dialogue. Half of the whole country. If a man is democratic and is a man of the people, that should touch him. That irrespective of political party, people say they want dialogue, they don't want this constitution. What is wrong in saying let us have a dialogue? What is wrong in saying we are complaining? Particularly the point of complaint is clear. We say this constitution is not our own. We don't know about it. It was the military who introduced it. It is not the constitution we had at independence. The points are clear. Except anybody want to do mischief. You don't go into those points. They just shouting, I deal with the secessionists, I deal with secessionists. After all, we are brought together by force. The amalgamation was not their consent.
Yes, so
but Chief, brought us together and we have seen the value of living together. We'll be together where one will be a boss and we'll be a slave. The point now is, Buhari want to keep us in United Nigeria, he being the rider and we being the horse. That is the problem. And nobody will accept that.
Well, Chief, those are indeed very, very weighty words. Let me take the conversation back to Mazi Sam, who is also standing by with us here.
I'm also standing by. I've joined you.
Okay, all right. So, thank my goodness. Yeah. So indeed, I can understand now and can see from what we have here that we do have other guests from other areas have joined us. For instance, Aziz Bashiru has joined us from Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, a retired commissioner of police who served as commissioner of police in 6 states. Thank you so much, Mr. Aziz, for joining us on the program tonight. We'll check in with you very shortly. Also from Adamawa State, rather, I understand that Dr. Usman Ibrahim Wakali also joins us as well, a Nigerian politician and businessman.
Not doctor.
All right, so we will get into the conversation very quickly with you, Mr. Aziz, as bordering on insecurity, the calls for state police, and all of that. We understand you do indeed have a bank of experience. But let's take the conversation up north to Kaduna, where Usman Wakali is standing by live from Adamawa. Mr. Usman, thank you so much for agreeing to speak with Galaxy TV. Let me also pose this question to you. Is something fundamentally wrong with Nigeria as a country? For instance, I stand to be corrected. It is difficult to hear one USA. It is difficult to hear one UK. It is difficult to hear one Canada, one Ghana. But we keep trying to reassure ourselves of the unity of our country. One Nigeria, one Nigeria, one Nigeria. So the question is there something fundamentally wrong with our unity?
There's basically nothing fundamentally wrong with our unity, but there is a lot fundamentally wrong with ourselves. Because if you remember, at the 1914 amalgamation of all the protectorates, those at that time agreed with the British colonies to amalgamate the northern and southern protectorate and Lagos to be one nation entity. And much as there are problems all across the world in terms of the unity of purpose of the amalgamating nations, I believe Nigeria is better off united than divided. And I think the basic fundamental problems we now have is the inability of the various leadership from independence to date to really do things that will unite the country more than what will divide us.
With you.
All right, so Dr. Osman, we're checking with you very.
We do not always. We always reduce ourselves to be so myopic to the extent that we do not see things beyond our nose. Like the last speaker who was making reference to President Buhari as somebody who is too sentimental to his clan and his region. I totally disagree with the leadership style of Muhammadu Buhari to mean being too sentimental in favor of the Fulanis or in favor of the North. Because if you see in terms of infrastructure development across the nation today, in the last 6 years, Buhari has performed in terms of infrastructure development across the southwest and the southeast higher, greater, and than anything that has been done in the north.
All right, Dr. Osman, that's indeed very hard to believe for many Nigerians, but indeed, it's your opinion. Gentlemen, thank you so much for standing by with us. It's indeed a very massive conversation, except for our guests in Kaduna State, Utah's Yunus, a senior advocate of Nigeria. Of course, for some time now, the network telecommunications in that state has some issues. So hopefully we can have him before the end of the program. But perhaps I should take the conversation now to the ancient city of Ibadan, where Aziz Bashiru is standing by, retired commissioner of police who served Nigeria for 35 years. Thank you so much indeed for serving Nigeria. Let me bring you into the conversation and ask your position about just how much progress we have indeed made as a nation in terms of insecurity. And I also would like to ask you, Mr. Aziz, as well, on your position about the calls for state police.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me. You are asking about a question of state police. There is nothing that has a positive that has not got a negative side. Many people believe in it, and many other people will not believe in it. But personally, that is my own personal view. If Nigeria as a country is actually practicing true federalism, there is nothing that stops the states from having their own state police. It has advantages, like I said, and it has a lot of disadvantages. However, when you look at the totality of what is on the ground as regards security, it is very desirable. For now, the Nigeria police itself, when you look at the manpower situation in the Nigerian police today, I don't think anybody will tell you that it's adequate. The number of policemen serving presently, I don't think they are even up to 300,000 naira in a population of where we say we have over 200 million people. And this calls for serious concern. If the fear of the people is that when we had local government and state police in the First Republic, that they were misused, we just have to start from somewhere. Now that Nigeria is facing these serious security challenges, if the states are allowed to have their own state police, if they have the capacity to have their own state police, even the issue of addressing unemployment will have been partly solved. When you look at Lagos, for example, you have LASMA, you have all other agencies that are performing duties that are related to the police. What Nigeria needs, if we are to have state policies, to ensure that the laws are made so that all areas that where there can be a sort of misuse will be adequately taken care of. Nigeria is ripe to have all the states. If they want it, I believe I am in support of all the states having their own state police. That's my own personal opinion.
All right, Aziz Bashir, thank you indeed for your opening thought. We'll stick with security in just a moment. But gentlemen, I understand we have to take a breather now, and we'll be back in just a moment as we keep discussing these issues of national interest with Mazi Sam Ohabunwa, convener of the New Nigeria Group, live for us at the Maryland area of Lagos. I wish we could have all of them on the screen. We also do have from the Ijebu-Ode area of Ogun State, Chief Ayo Adebanjo is also standing by, elder statesman and chieftain of Afenifere Social-Cultural Group from Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. Aziz Bashir is also standing by, a retired commissioner of police, as well as Dr. Usman Wakali, Nigerian politician, who has joined us, and businessman who has joined us live from Adamawa. Gentlemen, let's take a breather. When we come back, we'll discuss other issues. We'll discuss the war, indeed, between the southern governors and the northern governors, and the issues surrounding value-added tax, as well as the controversial issue of zoning. We're back in just a moment. Please stay with us. Welcome back. This is Firecrackers. It's the second part of the program, and of course tonight we focus on our dear and beloved nation, indeed, Nigeria 61. Indeed, we do have guests spread across the country from the Maryland area here in Lagos. Mazi Sam Ohabunwa is standing by, president of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, as well as the convener of the New Nigeria Group, from Ijebu-Ode in Ogun State, elder statesman and chieftain of Social-Cultural Group Afenifere, Chief Ayo Adebanjo is also standing by as well. Fly from Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, Aziz Bashir, retired commissioner of police, is also standing by, and of course Dr. Usman Wakali, Nigerian politician and businessman, also joins us live from Yola, the Adamawa State capital. Gentlemen, thank you so much for standing by. We will get into Mr. President's speech, very recent, in just a moment. I would like to get your reservations or position or observations about Mr. President's speech in just a moment. But perhaps, Mazi, well, maybe you may want to respond to Usman Ibrahim just a while ago when he made his submission about the spread of projects across the southwest and I think even southeast.
Acknowledge my very senior elders here, especially Adebanjo. Good afternoon, sir. It's such a privilege to be on the same platform after the meeting with you last Thursday when you had the opportunity to receive me in your home. I'm so glad to see you a second time within 1 week. And I want to thank Usman and Aziz for being part of this discussion. First, I want us to discuss Nigeria as citizens of a country that we all love and a country we want to get better. It is not a time for too much defense. Just as Usman said, he rightly pointed out that the issues with our country is that our leaders have not built a nation. We have a country, but we have not really built it into a nation. I think that's the fundamental problem. And also when Chief Adebanjo spoke about the issue of if a member of your household is hurting, complaining, it is right, if you're the leader of that household, to call that member and say, come, you guy, what's your problem? Why are you behaving like this? This is not the way you used to behave before. You know, that is what he's asking for, and that's what we're asking. I don't see why anybody should disagree with that. If we have a country that we want to grow and we see ourselves as citizens of the same country, if we see ourselves as brothers and sisters, when the North is crying, the East should be crying. When the West is crying, the South should be crying. That is the way we should do. So, for me, I'm not in a position to defend the allocation or the issues. When you travel around our country, you will know where the infrastructure is working and where it is not working. It's not something for us to have too much argument. But the truth is that some parts of the country are not feeling fairly treated. They are not feeling well represented. They are not feeling well recognized. And it is illogical for anybody to argue against that. What we are saying is that if we really want a nation and a true country, then we should care that all of us are stakeholders in this nation and that we are treated equally, fairly, objectively, in a manner that will elicit ownership. That some people don't see themselves as being outsiders or observers or third-class citizens. Others are first-class citizens. That is the point. And it's the work of leadership to weed us together. The British did what they did out of their own choice. It was convenient for them to amalgamate the North and the Southern Protectorate. And as Badepon just said, we now came together and found that there's a benefit in being together. We can leverage our strengths and weaknesses, the biodiversity of our nation, and turn our country to a great nation. The frustration we all have is that this country is not where it ought to be. At 61, we ought to be an emerging nation or a first world. Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Korea, Southern Korea, we are the same level with us of development. We are now the third of the third world. Some of them are now first world. So that's the issue. The issue is, how do we take our country to be that nation that all of us will be happy about? That was the kind of nation we saw is beginning in the 60s, 70s. Immediately after the war, I thought that after the war, the country would be so divided. But I am surprised that we were even much more united than we are 50 years after the war. Something is wrong. And I think Chief Ayo Adebanjo has pointed it, and we must agree on that, is the issue of leadership. We now have not had the self-sacrificing, enlightened, competent, good character, courageous leadership that will do right to all, that will make all of us feel citizens. And it is not a matter of whether you are right or wrong. If I'm a member of a family and say I'm not happy, somebody ought to ask me, why are you not happy? And then maybe he can show me that actually I'm misguided or that my perceptions are wrong. Just like Usman is saying, he can say, okay, you think that if there are fewer protests in the south or in the east, let me show you. Look at it. Look at what's in the southeast. The person may change his perception. So my point is, let us act like people of a nation who want to live together, and then let's relate to each other along those lines.
All right, so let's take the conversation back to Usman in Adamawa, Yola, Adamawa State. Dr. Usman, well, some schools of thought believe that we have never been this divided. Is that a position you share in? And perhaps why? Why have we been tagged or described as a country that have never been this divided, but right now that is the situation on board?
My brothers, the greatest problem we have in this country is that when we talk about who becomes the Nigerian president, we never consider the integrity or the capacity of the individuals. We talk about regions, regardless of where you come from. If you remember, in 1993, Abiola contested an election under the platform of the SDP in running together with Babagana Kingibe. On two fundamental issues. One, they are all Muslims, regardless of their faith. Still, Nigerians voted for them massively, and except for some other internal problems of the regime at that time, the election was botched. Which even only recently, President Buhari now reaffirmed the legitimacy of the election, and in fact even recognized the late Abiola as a president, elect posthumous, and that indicates that Nigerians are ready to elect people of integrity, to elect people that have the capacity to lead the nation and make it a country and a nation, instead of being a divided country based on sentiment of religion, origin. And as the argument now goes, the northern governors are saying there should be no rotational presidency in terms of regions, and the southern are saying it must have to be from the east, especially those in the PDP. And I find it difficult to comprehend our attitude in terms of our desire to build a nation. Seriously speaking, it is high time that people should start to think about who are those individuals who are aspiring to be Nigerian leaders. Let us consider them on their merit. Let's consider them on their merit, not based on where they come from.
All right. Yeah, okay, maybe Chief Ayo can also reflect on this because we've indeed gone into the issue of zoning. Chief Ayo Adebanjo, thank you so much for standing by as well, live from the Ijebu-Ode area in Ogun State. What is your position on this controversy surrounding zoning? I wonder if you would also react to Mr. Usman's position on the fact that, look, it is merit over zoning, not zoning over merit.
Well, that's why I say those who don't understand zoning don't know the society in which we are living. And that's one of the reasons I accuse the president of not knowing the nature of the community is vital. We are not a nation. We are a group of nations. We are a multilingual, multi-ethnic, multicultural, multi-religious society. We cannot be ruled under a single rule. And in view of that, in order to keep ourselves together, Mr. Usman is talking of marriage. Well, maybe he doesn't know the composition of the country. If we begin to talk of the marriage, if we go one way more than the other, don't let us deceive ourselves. And it's in order to avoid that we say, if it is the Southeast time, it is another time. And I will remind Usman, maybe he didn't know, when we are asking for self-government in 1953, one of the reasons why South Ghana didn't agree with us for self-government in 1956 because it's not as educated and as bad as the South, and that we monopolize all the office. So he said we're not ready for self-government in 1956. And the East and the West had that. They said you give him some time. The North didn't have the self-government until 1959. It was after that now, 1960. And even after 1960, Usman should remember, the North is still not as educated as the South. And even at that time, I remember very well, Chief Aulo offered to South Ghana to allow some students from the North to come to the secondary school in the West in order to be able to help them to catch up. But in the meantime, let us rotate these offices equally. And that is the beauty in federalism. Federalism is a system of government that allows each unit of the federation to develop at its own pace. And that was the thing Chief Aulo showed to South Ghana before South Ghana agreed to stay in Nigeria. When the crisis came in 1993, South Ghana said, "Who Araba?" I like to remember Usman. If he doesn't know, you go to the record. He said, "Araba is gone away." And he made a 9-point program for separation. But Chief Aulo persuaded him.
All right.
If you have federalism, this point is important, Mr. Senator.
It's important.
Okay, Chief.
We must educate the man who's thinking that anybody is doing otherwise. The question of rotation is in order to carry the North and the backward area along with us, in order not to insist on merit. If we insist on merit, America will never be president. That is the truth. Don't let us live in denial.
Yes, Chief, because indeed we are winding down the conversation and we are pressed for time, gentlemen, we will take a breather. When we come back, I'm going to ask all of us to reflect on this question of just how can we redefine democracy in our country as we've marked 61 years anniversary and the second chapter of our beloved nation, Nigeria. Let's take a breather, gentlemen. When we come back, we'll round off on the program and get your perspective and views on just how can we redefine democracy in Nigeria. But in the meantime, I would like us to reflect on the words of our national anthem. Very, very powerful words indeed, as put together by Basiama Timothy, and then we're back in just a moment as we wrap up on the show. This is Firecrackers. We're back in just a moment. Please stay with us. So thanks for staying with us. We're going to round off on the program now. Again, the powerful lyrics of our national anthem. Indeed, we do pray for a nation where justice and peace shall indeed reign. This is Firecrackers, and wherever you're watching from around the world, we are live from our headquarters here in Lagos, Nigeria. I am Kelly Egiga. We're rounding off on the conversation, gentlemen. Perhaps we'll just go through this question all round, and I'll beg of you to, in 60 seconds, please, in 60 seconds, help us understand just how can we redefine democracy in Nigeria. Perhaps we should begin this conversation in Ibadan, where Mr. Aziz is standing by. Maybe we can reflect on this as well as try to capture how we can do that in terms of solving the missing link in terms of insecurity in the country. Mr. Aziz, in 60 seconds or less, please, if you may.
This country is going through a lot as regards the security. And I want to believe that it can still be salvaged if our leaders are truthful and they believe that whatever they do now will be a sort of legacy for them, which we count for them when they are no more. If they can do this, I believe this country can still be salvaged. But for now, we have leaders who think about themselves and themselves alone. All right. Nigeria deserves better than what they are doing right now.
Thank you so much, Mr. Aziz Bashir, live for us from the ancient city of Ibadan. Let's cross over live to Yola, the Adamawa State capital, where Dr. Usman Ibrahim is standing by. Dr. Usman, just how can we redefine our democracy in Nigeria in 60 seconds or less, please?
But Usman Ibrahim. And like you said, the greatest challenge we have today in this country is redefining what we call democracy. Democracy, as far as I'm concerned, is having the majority of people determining how they want to be governed. And in that respect, I believe Nigerians are fully prepared to elect leaders who can really unite the nation more than what people who can divide the country. And in that respect, that is why these are one of the greatest respect I have for our current president, who believes in the oneness of this country more than any other living leaders in terms of oneness. And right. I believe all he requires is our prayers and our support for him to successfully prosecute the pending programs he has in terms of defending the unity of this country and ensuring that security is restored to all parts of the country.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Usman. Mazi Sam Ohabunwa here in the Maryland area of Lagos. Just how, in your closing thoughts, can we redefine democracy in 60 seconds or less, please, Mazi?
Yeah, what we really need is to take a step backward and find out where we missed the way. And I think we missed the way when we stopped thinking about Nigeria. We stopped the way when we are beginning to think just individuals and little interests. Let us have empathy for each other. If we want a united nation, may we show unity in truth and in spirit. May we not make arguments that are self-serving. When it suits us, we say it is okay for rotation. When it does not suit us, we say rotation is dead. We say it's merit. We say that cannot build a nation. Even where the majority has its say or its way, the minority has its right. And the minority has a right to be listening in a democracy. Push the majority, don't shut them up. They must speak, and it will influence
Thank you so much, Mazi.
In carrying them along. Because without the minority, the majority cannot function alone. So democracy is bringing everybody on board, giving each person a fair chance to be heard and to feel a part of a nation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mazi Sam. Now, to Ijebu-Ode in Ogun State, perhaps where Chief Ayo Adebanjo can put the icing on the cake, Chief. Your closing thoughts as the question of just how can we redefine our democracy is begging for answer. Over to you, Chief Adebanjo.
Thank you very much. In as much as people like Alhaji Usman in Adamawa and the people advising the president of the country thinking he's doing well, we will go nowhere. We should stop living in denial. Is the gentleman thinking now that the constitution of this country is acceptable to all? Can we live together in a democracy when a huge part of the country say the constitution is not their own? Is it not more reasonable for us to now sit down, as certain governors say, let us have a dialogue and agree on how to live together? Or go back to the constitution which brought us together? Why should you leave all that and say the man is doing well? You are deceiving the man, oh, and I want all of those to do that. If you don't have an acceptable constitution that every federation unit agree with, you can't get anywhere. And that's my position. To sum it up, restructure the country back to federalism, where every ethnic group will be on its own and have peace and tranquility. Outside that,
all right,
nobody will accept the government of Buhari under a constitution imposed by an ethnic group. Let them declare.
All right, Chief.
That question will be answered. So don't let us deceive ourselves. If the president is sincere,
thank you so much, Chief.
Let's draw our constitution.
Yes, I mean, Chief, it's always a delight to speak with you, but thank you so much, Chief Ayo Adebanjo, elder statesman and chieftain of Afenifere Social Cultural Group Life for Us from the Ijebu-Ode area here in Lagos. Perhaps we can put them all on the screen as I recognize them. Thank you so much, Chief Ayo Adebanjo, indeed, for your thoughts. It's always indeed a delight to view Nigeria from the eyes of your lens. From the Maryland area in Lagos, Mazi Samuel Ohabunwa, convener of the New Nigeria Group, also joined us live on the program. From the Ibadan, the ancient city of Ibadan, of course, or your state capital, Aziz Bashir, retired commissioner of police. Thank you so much indeed for your thoughts on the program. And of course, live for us from Yola, the Adamawa state capital. Thank you so much, Dr. Usman Ibrahim, Nigerian politician and businessman. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your fascinating insights on the special edition of Firecrackers, and that's where we'll anchor our conversation tonight on the program. Thank you, of course, viewers around the world. Thank you so much for watching the program. My name is Kelly Egiga. God bless Nigeria.